we will move on to some of our past results from our butterfly surveys up to 2021. So I just want to show this slide. This is kind of the tall grass prairie ecoregion, basically the eastern quarter of the state, and it's where our surveys are generally located. In 2020, we completed 163 surveys and excluded 45 sites. It was brand new. We did a random draw. So I'll get into that just a little more in a second, but we had to get rid of the less good sites. In 2021, we got to 176, and we only had to exclude 13 because we had done the majority of our excluding the previous year. For 2020, we had 33 people at the end of our first training and 24 at the end of the second. We ended up with 33 different surveyors with 26 community scientists surveying once. We had 5 volunteers that did at least 5 transects each, and our volunteers surveyed more than staff. So I want to just highlight how important it is to this project that we have great volunteers. So thanks for coming out and listening to me talk. In 2021, we had 22 volunteers and 29 total people, with 48 for all time. 8 did at least 5 sites and 3 did 10 or more. So super special thanks to my super surveyors there that did 10 or more. They again surveyed 102 sites, which was only 5 less than me going all out for the whole summer. So yeah, I can't understate how thankful I am to you guys for helping us get this project rolling. So here's our butterfly numbers for both years. Monarchs went down in 2021. We also had increased survey effort in 2021. So this is even a more pronounced decrease than it might seem. Regals technically went up, but if you account for survey effort, it's almost exactly the same number seen per site. So far we've done 492 total transects, with monarchs being seen at about 26%, regals at 10%, both being seen at 5, so that's not counted in these two, so that could be 15 or 31 if you wanted. And then about 60% of the time you don't see a butterfly on your transect. Like I mentioned before, it can be very difficult to tell the sex of the butterfly, especially if they're flying, with roughly 75 to 80% of our butterflies just being an unknown sex. But the rest of our split is roughly even. These are kind of the main activities that you might see. Flying is likely not the primary activity that these butterflies are doing, but it is the easiest thing for observers to see, so that's probably why we are seeing that spike so much. With nectaring, basking, resting, probably the same thing. Fighting, mating, and egg laying, all being documented. Nectaring, we've seen a handful of...
If you want to switch to, yeah, click there.
Oh. We have seen a handful of species being nectared on by both of our species. It's not unusual to not know what plant they are, because when you're doing your butterfly transect, you need to stay on that line and can't go off to explore what that butterfly was eating. But our kind of 3 most common plants are hoary vervain, common milkweed, and world milkweed, with a little bit of ironweed and lemon bee balm in the mix as well. And then 13 other species that take too long to list. We have seen a lot of plant species identified through our survey. Hoary vervain, daisy fluebane, black-eyed Susan, and plains coreopsis have been the years.
What was that?
For our transects, every time we've seen a butterfly, the regals are marked in red, monarchs are blue, both is black, and then the larger the circle, the more butterflies there are. The little white dots are a lack of butterflies. So here are our results for 2020 and our results for 2021. And I'm just going to flip back and forth on them to see that you can get very different results year to year. So 20, 21, 20, 21, 20, 21. Some spots stay consistent, but we can see pretty good variation. I do want to talk about some other ways to get involved. There is the Bumblebee Atlases. We have quite a few in the US. Nebraska has the Nebraska Bumblebee Atlas, which I will be talking about now. They give you a handy sheet of all the bumblebees in the state. You go out, swing a net, catch some bees, put them in a vial, put them on ice. That makes them able to be handled and lets you get pictures of the bumblebees. There are some priority areas for 2022. This is the priority map for Nebraska. If you're watching this recording after 2022 and interested in the atlas, please check out the current map to see where they need the most help. Any bees that you catch for the atlas will be recorded on Bumblebee Watch, which is this app here. It can kind of tell you your list of bumblebees that you've seen and has some identification help as well. All of those are checked by experts in the field. Next, we're going to move on to Monarch Watch. This is the Monarch Tagging program out of Kansas. You basically are putting a little apple sticker, that same kind of material, onto monarchs with a unique identifier. Once it's found, it's reported here, and hopefully we can see that migration work its way down to Mexico. I think it's a lot of fun. This does cost roughly $15 for a sheet of 25. I think it's less expensive the more you buy. But a lot of fun, great time to do with the kids or grandkids. If you're tagging for Monarch Watch, I highly encourage you to help out Project Monarch Health. It is a program looking at monarch parasite OE. These big black marks are scales of monarchs, and these little black marks in here are the parasite, protozoan parasite OE. The process is pretty simple. You take a sticker, stick it on the abdomen, pull away some of the scales and hopefully whatever parasites are there, stick it to a note card, and then send that off to a lab in Georgia where they will do the counting for you. Next is Inaturalist. It's kind of the general, if you see something, you can record it here. I've pulled up all the monarch sightings for Nebraska. It's a really nice site. It can help with your flower ID as well. But if you are not 100% certain on your flower ID, just take the picture and send it in to us, and we will verify for ourselves. Next is Mass Audubon's Firefly Watch. I haven't got to this one yet, but I hope to this summer. We have quite a few species of fireflies in the state. They all light up differently, and you can tell the species apart that way. You basically stand out in your yard for a minute or so and record fireflies. It's a very, very simple community science project. Next is Journey North. It's a see something, say something kind of site. If you see monarchs during their migration north, or anything here, if you see a bald eagle, you can report it. If you see a gray whale, please let me know, because that'd be a pretty impressive site for Nebraska. But take a picture and share it on their site. I know turkeys are not pollinators, but it's too simple of a survey to not talk about. From July to August, if you see a turkey, just record it on this data sheet. The data sheets are included in in all of your packets when you get them. And it can be reported at nebraska.gov/turkey brood survey. So those are the community science opportunities that I have. If this project just isn't for you, that's fine. It is one of the more complicated community science projects I've run into. I would highly encourage you to look at any or all of these projects as well. Before we take questions on that, I do want to plug nebraskalepidoptera.com. It has all 210 butterflies that we have here in the state. You click on one of these and it will take you to our to a page for that specific butterfly. It's a really cool site. It just came online, so I'd encourage you all to check it out. Do we have any questions so far on this section?
Tom Andrews is wondering if time of day makes a difference on seeing more butterflies.
For sure. We'll get into what our survey protocols are, but generally midday is pretty good. They want it to be warmer and have a little sun, and that will increase your chance to see butterflies just generally. But we'll get into the specifics of this survey in a bit.
And Tori Sorensen is really excited about this and wants to share some written materials with the scouts and homeschoolers about the opportunities that you mentioned. Do you have materials that you could share with folks?
I don't think that made it into the supplemental material, but if you email me, we can get you hooked up with whatever I can do to help people get outside and do some science. I'm all for. So, yep.